issue ain't issuing the way the issue is issued, do we still need to act like it's an issue and not somebody dealing with issues? Tonight, they say the solar eclipse brings special powers. I'm still waiting for my ability to Thanos snap Pontiacs, and it's not working. Caitlin Clark may have lost the championship again, but at least she won the media battle. Now, if you take Farrah Fawcett and Lucius Lyon and you combine them together, you get Farrah Lyon, or a fair amount of it at least. And I kind of think that's what Terrence Howard was doing. Man. See these stories and more of what we're talking about on this week's episode of The Blackman Show. Welcome to the BS. Now let's go. What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, I am Seven Blackman, and this is The Blackman Show, a place where we can dissect the news with a little bit of 7 cents. So make sure you hit that like button and tell the YouTube guys that I am worthy. But with that said, let's get it. So first things first, how was your week? How's it been so far? Did it start off well? Have you seen anything new or different? Has anything changed for you since then, since the week began? Now, if you don't know what I'm referring to, I'm talking about Monday's total solar eclipse, the last that we'll be exposed to for the next 20 years, apparently. So if you've been anywhere close to the TikToks or the IGs, I'm sure you've seen a clip or two of people who can't conjugate a verb with less than a 500 credit score, slews of children with no sign of matrimony.
There's a solar eclipse happening. You heard about that on April 8th? You didn't know about that? So there was a map of the last 2 solar eclipses. It was going in like this direction. This solar eclipse is going like this. The last one was like 2.5 minutes long. That's how long it takes. This one is twice as long. It's gonna be 4.5 minutes long.
4 minutes?
Yes, of darkness. They said that the National Guard has been called out on that day. They told people to stock up on food.
What?
Get generators. I'm like, what the hell is happening, bro?
But now these people, all of a sudden, are seen on a free app, grabbing up your personal data quicker than Puffy grabs up them young men, allegedly. No diddy. I mean, they need to get some validation to shield them from life's poor decisions, but somehow, these people also suddenly became shaman. From heavily bonded mothers and women folk to religious leaders whose beliefs border on the insane, we've seen a heavy slew of claims and conspiracies calling a solar event that takes place periodically to the point that it can be predicted. Anything from a massive human sacrificing event to an event that'll grant you superpowers to a signal of spiritual awakening. Now, going back to those superpowers, right? I'm kind of upset that I didn't get the chance to walk through walls, get x-ray vision, even though I thought I'd trump it through. In comes Marjorie Taylor Greene, congressional representative and batshit. I'll just leave it there. Now, MTG, and from now on, I think I'll be calling her The Meeting. MTG meeting. Anyway, The Meeting and her boyfriend, Brian Glenn, Southern personality and man who's gone batshit as well, have issued dire warnings to the world to repent because earthquakes, as what happened last week in New York, and eclipses apparently only happen when evil is afoot. And this is gospel, as was given to them, and only them.
This might be the last normal weekend that we have for quite some time. I mean, we've got this solar eclipse on Monday, this very rare solar eclipse. Who knows what the fallout from that will be? Plus, that will be combined with several earthquakes. We've already seen a few already. And why not sprinkle in this infestation of locusts that have been dormant for years and all of a sudden will attack mankind? So why not? Then throw in Joe Biden trying to get into a war with Iran for whatever reason he wants to do that. So on that note, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week, or maybe not.
Now, mind you, this is allowed by the same God who allowed this woman in office in the first place to spew QAnon rhetoric involving Jewish space lasers. Please look that up if you haven't seen it already. Who now says that she's singing a different tune? Well, I don't know about you, but this second verse sounds just like the first. I mean, screw the fact that we've noticed and have been marveling over eclipses for the past 5,000 years. This is happening to me right now. So that means it's never happened to anyone else at any other time. Man, Mrs. or Miss The Meeting, you're a bit too long in the tooth to be part of the TikTok generation, but I'll drink to you anyway.
This represents where we come from. This is a hood classic. This is a hood staple.
Now, of course, I've been damned to hell because I've mocked this man's crazy, which is wild because so many claim to have this authority that never really works.
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
I blow the wind of God.
The wind of God.
On you.
On you.
You are destroyed forever.
You are destroyed forever.
And you'll never be back.
And you'll never be back.
Thank you, our God.
Thank you, our God.
But now, so have you. I mean, if you want to know about some crazy religious power, here you go.
Oh, Roro! Oh, Roro! Power of God! Oh, Roro! Oh, Roro! Oh, Roro! Power.
Your move, Brian. So if you're anything like me, you like to get out with your peeps every once in a while and go grab an open body of water, grab a floaty, your favorite snacks and drinks, and chill for an evening or afternoon, maybe even a whole damn weekend. Well, in 2022, that's basically what happened on July 30th on the Apple River in Wisconsin. 52-year-old man Nikolai Miel is accused of stabbing 5 people, resulting in the death of one of the young men, 17-year-old Isaac Schumann. The other victims' ages range from 17 to 24. Now, since then, Miel has been charged with first-degree intentional homicide and attempted first-degree homicide for the stabbings of Riley Madison, A.J. Martin, Dante Carlson, and Tony Carlson, but he pleaded not guilty to all the charges in September of 2022. Now, the issue that I've learned in covering some of the previous cases involving homicide is that for just about anything that involves that first degree label, usually involves intent. And not only does it have intent, but the offense must also be premeditated and willful. And from the footage I've seen of the incident taking place in real time, which actually shows the part that I'm not going to show of the young man on the river, it looks like anything but that.
What the hell is this?
Go. It doesn't matter. Go.
He said he was looking for little girl. He said he was looking for little girl. He hit a woman? He hit a woman? You hit a woman. He hit a woman.
So you see the young man rousing the older gentleman who apparently encountered them initially because he was looking for a lost cell phone. Apparently they were joking with him at a time when he wasn't, and they continued to push the man into the water several times, after which you can see Nick suddenly wielding a weapon, and you can make of the outcome what you will. After that, Nick continued his float back to camp, very weird behavior, Nick, and eventually was apprehended by the police. Now, I'd hate to be the guy who will be labeled as the one who's blaming the victim. I'll just add that I think this is the wrong time to be learning that fat meat is greasy. You shouldn't be getting life lessons this real when all you trying to do is chill. But at the same time, I do think it makes sense to realize that 1, not everything is a fucking joke. And 2, if you're going to joke, you better know your audience. And 3, please understand the rules to the game you are playing. Because I think it's very obvious that the young man who was recording the whole thing and who took the time to put the camera on himself to ask, is this real? As his friend did not understand the rules to that game. And thankfully, I'm not alone. Not that I'm even looking for validation. Look, I know if something is messed up without engaging in the advice of counsel, and to me, this was beyond that. But here are some of the others who've also chimed in their thoughts on the situation after taking a gander at the footage. clipped as it may be. Feel free to pause to read. The reason I'm bringing this up now is because the trial just began last month with prosecution arguing that Mew acted maliciously and with intent. Now, I get it. No one should be sending their young kids out to the river with their friends only to see them return in the body bag. So I can totally understand prosecution trying to push that sentiment. But if you've seen and the jury sees what I and the whole of Twitter has already seen, I can't see this man getting convicted, at least not on first degree, which is what they're charging with. And usually they only charge a first degree when they think it's a slam dunk. And I'm telling you, again, first degree would involve the willful, premeditated intent. What's premeditated about? Looking for a phone, getting knocked down by guys you don't know, joking as they may have been, and only pulling out a weapon after it happens the second or third time. I lost count. Look, I know we're not on the jury, but in the court of public opinion, where do you lie? And what do you think will be this man's outcome? If you saw the video in its entirety, do you see intent? Do you see premeditation? Do you see forethought that says,
hey, it's a nice day. I think I'm gonna go stab me some kids.
I'd love to know your thoughts on this one. So in the lead up to the November elections, which are the most important elections of our lifetime, not to be confused with all the other elections, which are also most important. You get it. News outlet ProPublica outshines that legal disputes over gerrymandered congressional districts are unfolding in South Carolina, Florida, and Utah, with significant implications for the House of Representatives' balance of power. For example, in South Carolina, a federal court found that the GOP-controlled state legislature illegally gerrymandered the 1st District near Charleston, which prompted a legal battle that has reached the Supreme Court. Despite acknowledging efforts to maintain GOP control, Republican lawmakers have denied discriminatory intent. They didn't do it. We didn't do nothing. I mean, Democratic Representative James Clyburn's involvement in map creation adds complexity to the case in the sense that ProPublica reports that he was instrumental in confidentially giving detailed reports to the Republicans in redrawing district maps that have led to its current landscape that has already been ruled discriminatory against 30,000 black residents who've been moved out of the 1st District in Charleston. The Supreme Court's delay in ruling on the matter has led to criticism over potential partisan maneuvering. But how can it be partisan when the highest ranking Democrat in the state was there to offer suggestions? Then in Florida, a federal panel upheld an election map pushed through by Governor Ron DeSantis, everybody's favorite hated governor, which redrew the majority black 5th District near Jacksonville. Legal challenges are ongoing, but elections are allowed to proceed amid a controversy due to something called the Purcell principle, which basically is a vague legal idea, not a law, just an idea that says, hey, we can't have these meaningful voters getting confused with us changing the districts back so close to the election, so we'll just keep everything as is, even though we know it's bad and we're not making any inroads to change it. As a matter of fact, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh has called the Purcell principle, quote, bedrock tenet of election law, end quote, even though there's no exact cutoff defined for when to apply it. I mean, you got this thing that says you shouldn't move. Even though everyone is saying move. In sales, they call this the higher power strategy. It's basically when you defer. Most use it when they don't want to do something, so they defer their inactivity to the higher power. See, it's not me, it's the higher power. You know what I'm talking about, gentlemen. Like when you find a girl who does all the nasty stuff that you know you like, but you know you can't tell nobody about. You tell her you don't want kids. She lets you play coochie roulette until you crap out with a life that you know you said you didn't want. Then she's saying she can't take a pill because of religious reasons. You know, like the religious reasons that allowed her to do all that nasty stuff you like in the first damn place. But I digress. R.I.P. Walter. I never really believed in you. I mean, you went from sidekick to getting manhandled by your side chick. Just saying. Meanwhile, in Utah, challenges arise from the state's Republican legislature repealing a voter-passed initiative for an independent redistricting commission, which would include setting up an independent committee to draw out the maps. But the GOP is already in charge in the state. They got 4 representatives. So what do you think of the odds of them actually changing anything that may reduce or challenge the power that they already have? Now, the outcome of this case remains uncertain, but may not affect the upcoming election significantly. because of the Purcell principle. Overall, these legal battles denote the complexities of addressing gerrymandering with issues of race, partisan interests, and legal maneuvering at play. The outcomes of these disputes could shake the balance of power in Congress, but it doesn't seem any changes will be made this year, because of the higher power. I mean, you can't expect the highest courts in the land to help make things, I want to say, better. I mean, they've already said, no flag on the play. First down. In Alabama and Louisiana, allowing voting to continue under gerrymandered maps, only ruling that the maps must be redrawn after the fact, at some point in the future, whenever that comes. But I'll ask you, what do you think of the gerrymandered districts in general? Do you think it should be allowed to change at the whim of any GOP member losing power to the feckless complaints, but overall inactions of the Democrats? As much emphasis as some can say about your vote not counting, or counting however you look at it, it sure does seem a lot of people are out there working hard to make it matter even less. But that's just me and my 7 cents working. So in case you haven't heard recently, South Carolina's women's basketball team won the national championship on Sunday, beating Iowa University by a score of 87-75. Capping their undefeated season and their third national championship victory under 2024 Naismith Coach of the Year, Dawn Staley. I'm sorry. I just thought about that. I didn't say that right. So let me try it again. I mean, 4-time Naismith Coach of the Year and 2-time Naismith Player of the Year, Dawn Staley. That's right. Against what some would call the odds, the undefeated team hit the court against a poised Iowa that was punching well above its weight, some would say. And I guess you can add to the fact that South Carolina was also dealing with their own adversity. I mean, they lost all 5 starters from last year when they lost in the Final Four to Iowa, who went on to lose to Angel Reese's LSU. Shout out LSU. So this year had to be quite the challenge for the veteran coach, who proved to be more than up for the task in her leadership and ability to adjust after Iowa star Caitlin Clark got off to a hot start, rattling off 18 points, the most in a quarter. And that was in the first quarter of the game. See, that's where great coaching comes in. And I'm looking at you, former offensive coordinator for the Bears, Luke Getsy, and your inability to adjust looking at. Anyway, so sometimes I get off on these tangents. I apologize. I'm sorry. That's the 7 cents working. I gotta pull it back. Anyway, Coach Staley, obviously a Potterhead, employed the Ravenclaw defense. And by that, I mean Raven Johnson, Gamecock's guard and the one who put the clamps on that star, holding Caitlin to 12 points for the remainder of the game. You see, that's how you win. You see adversity, you evaluate, and then you change strategy. You persevere, just like this team has had to during an entire season, overshadowed by a high-scoring powerhouse in her own right. Which leads me to the weirdness that I witnessed when reading about the outcome of the national championship for the women. I mean, with the way it was reported and from what I can say I just noticed on the Googles, you would swear that Caitlin was playing against herself and somehow lost. I mean, that Monday morning, you would have got a cramp in your scrolly thumb trying to find a headline and picture that matched. So here's what I'm talking about. For MSNBC, they had the headline right, but what pictures do you see? You see everyone but the actual winners. You see more information about Caitlin than for the team that beat her. And I get why it's happening. I just wish you people would admit it. Admit that you got caught up in the well-deserved hype just like everybody else. I can't discredit Caitlin for her performance on the court. She did what she's supposed to do. She scored and she played very little defense. But when you already have somebody who's already the favorite, it kind of makes it hard to score them honestly, doesn't it, ref? I mean, and I understand why. She's not one of those LSU women. She's not one of those winning Rutgers sisters that Howard Stern referred to so negatively when he mattered. She's a F girl with some game who won the all-time scoring title. Kinda. See, just like with gerrymandering, we sometimes pick our winners, and thereby we can exclude who we'd rather not acknowledge. Look no further than actual all-time scorer of Pearl Moore, who scored 4,061 points over her 4-year college career at Division II school, Francis Marion University, where she averaged almost 31 points a game for 4 years. Mind you, this is way before they even created the three-point shot. I could have swore 4,000 is more than 3,000. So while the people want to laud Caitlyn with every bit of praise possible, excluding the national title, of course, we can remove all-time scoring champion from that list as well. So because there was no NCAA when Pearl was Pearl the Earl and out there on the court in the late 70s, we just have to give the title to Caitlyn. I mean, we have to go by the new rules to keep the riffraff at bay, right? But scoring aside, Caitlyn was able to get numbers in another way. Social media has a hell of a hold on us, and sports are no different. Caitlyn's well over 1 million followers tuned in to watch their hype girl perform. So what do you think that sort of following will do to the WNBA that is dying for numbers? Hell, even if just a fraction of her following tunes into a WNBA game, I'm pretty sure it'll be pretty easy for them to break the WNBA viewership record just like they did for Iowa and for all of women's basketball. Because trust, she ain't the only one with an IG or a Twitter account that can pop off a decent jump shot. That said, what are your thoughts on Caitlyn's future? While her WNBA salary won't nearly match any NIL deal, do you think she'll be able to help the WNBA's attention problem? And with the amount of emphasis we put on messaging, what's to be said of the media outlets who skew their stories to get the most eyeballs, even if done with duplicitous intent? Hit my comment section below. I'd love to know what you got to say about this one. Now, recently, Terrence Howard of Empire, Iron Man, and Maine fame sat down in an interview telling his displeasure at having missed out on a serious amount of bread due to untrustworthy representation during his time on Fox's Empire TV show.
CAA represented me. They also represented some of the people from Big Bang Theory. They also did the deal with Fox. My show was with Fox, the people from Big Bang was with Fox. We had 28 million viewers. They had 11 million viewers. Wow. They were getting $2 million, damn near $3 million an episode, those white kids that had no name recognition, no Oscar nominations, none of that. We have 28 million viewers, and these jokers are paying me $325,000 an episode.
Now, Farrah Fawcett hair aside, the changes sound heinous and downright disrespectful if true. And that's a real big if. I mean, you're averaging 28 million viewers, almost 3 times the viewership of the people who are represented by the same people as you on a show you say didn't even match your numbers. But when you look at the actual numbers, or at least only the ones available as of this recording, the views are a little different than what Terrence reported. So I'm not sure what he's talking about. I mean, sure. In their first year, Big Bang stumbled out the blocks with 8.4 million views per episode, going to 10 in their second season, 14.4 million in year 3, and then 13.4 in year 4. So it kind of went down. But then they basically stayed at or above 15 million per episode for the remainder of the 12-season series. Conversely, with Empire, they peaked in their first season at about 17.6 million viewers per episode, then continued to fall off over the years. Now, I don't know about you, but I know gay men who said that the amount of homosexuality, and of course, primarily between the black men, was a bit gratuitous on the show, to put it mildly. And I know a lot of people who were tired of the whole Juicy saga. And man, I've made so many reports about that. Yeah, check it out. I mean, and ultimately, all of that led to a show barely making it 6 seasons when it was averaging less than 3 million viewers per episode by the end. So while I'm a Terrence Howard fan, okay, supporter, I have to ask, what the fuck are you talking about, Terrence Howard?
What the f does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
Why are you wearing this wig? Or, if that is your real hair, why? And to the numbers, maybe there's been too much of this.
All energy in the universe is expressed in motion. All motion is expressed in waves. All waves are curved. So where does the straight lines come from to make the platonic solids? There are no straight lines.
And not enough this. You want to retire so you can put your shit on. And hell, we all want out of the rat race that we're in, respectfully. I just wonder what numbers my man is or was looking at that brought him to this point. And I get it. Maybe this was to bring more attention to his issue. But if the issue ain't issuing the way the issue is issued, do we still need to act like it's an issue and not somebody dealing with issues? I have to say, though, one thing we can all absolutely glean from Howard's role as Lucius Lyon on the show, I think we can understand Puffy just a little bit more.
Yo, why it take y'all 8 years to figure out the correlation between Diddy and Lucius Lyon? I mean, even I knew they were the same person when the show dropped in 2015. Like, what? Like, how are y'all just realizing that?
Again, no Diddy. Seriously though, can somebody tell me what the hell he's talking about? Honestly, I think I've been lost on TH ever since Iron Man. Iron Man. However, that's where we'll have to leave this one. As always, I look forward to reading your comments. They provide a bit of sunshine, even when you're dropping poop. Or I am when I'm reading it. But that's where we'll have to leave this one. Please be sure to check out the merch store at theblackmanshow.com. Feel free to follow your boy on all the socials at Show the Black Man. Hit me up on our Facebook group or page, both called The Black Man Show. And if this video was a winner, go ahead and give a brother the HBO special. That's right, help a brother out by hitting the like, hit the subscribe, and share this with your peeps. You all take care of each other and make it a point to cherish the ones you love. You never know when they'll no longer be there. But with that said, peace, and I'm out.